Program, I would request the girls to offer khada to our speaker for today. On disaster management, preparedness and awareness. Before we start the program, no country is immune to disaster, and therefore with increasing disasters across the world, it becomes very important for us to be aware and stay prepared to face them. Thus, disaster management, preparedness and awareness programs are very important for the prevention of disaster, and participation right from the grassroots level is crucial to ensure self-reliance and help in saving lives and reducing the risk of loss. I am sure this lecture will be very beneficial to our students and teachers both. Therefore, with no further delay, I would like to call on stage Preetham Sir to deliver his lecture.
To be a part of today's program, and we were really excited. Actually, today's program, we were expecting District Magistrate Sir to be present here, but because of like a very sudden change in his schedule, he had to leave for another area, that's a Giddafi nearby. And actually he wanted to be here and interact with the students. Thank you once again, sister, geography faculty team members, the students. This is a very important session. So, and don't be very scared. Rather, I'm more scared than you people. So it's going to be more interactive. What we're going to discuss is more or less we all know. So, as we all know, like the information, the education, it's all inbuilt in us, because the day we are born, we keep on learning. Like learning, education is something which is a process which starts the day we are born and it ends in the grave. So in today's session, what we're trying is, we'll just try to have a recap, a sudden, again, a stimuli rather to take out the information, and so that because in the days to come, you're going to be in my position where you're going to formulate the plans for the nation, for the district in this manner. So, and the best part of today's session is that, I believe the students, the children of the school or the college, they're the best instrument, the messengers rather. The moment you go back to your homes, you have your peer groups, you have your own, social your networking system. So whatever information that you get over here, you can percolate, down to the grassroots level, and that will have, more efficacious effect in the society. So I've got a small presentation. We'll start with just a small, historical background, like how it all started and all. So initially, like when we joined the service, we never heard of disaster management. We always, what we used to do, we used to go more for the, like firefighting rather. Suppose I was working in the plains, we used to have flash flood, and then we used to get a call from district magistrate, you have a flood in that particular Gram Panchayat or that area. You rush. We used to take one bags, tarpaulins, we used to distribute. We used to have some flood shelters. So that is, kind of a firefighting. We did not have any structured plan. So now, the nation or the international level, we are going more for the, like structured planning. It's more of management rather than just, playing the role of a firefighting instruments or organization. So this is how it all started, like how it got into, the international forum that we should have a very structured disaster management planning. Because as we all know, like as ma'am just said, disaster does not come, with a warning. We are given very little time to respond. Just the recent flash flood in the Teesta on the 4th of October, you would believe we just have, 2 or 3 hours in our hand. I got a call at around 3 a.m. in the morning and had to evacuate an entire stretch of villages, which is, like settled in the entire stretch of River Tista. So it was a humongous exercise for us. And therefore, you would find that, the human loss was very, very minuscule. Like, had there been no communication among the civil authority, the NGOs, the police administration, there would have been a large amount of, human loss. But thanks to God, we have that proper information system, so we could inform the villagers that Glof has taken place, somewhere in the Sikkim, the dam has given way, and there's a huge amount of water rushing down River Tista, so you need to evacuate. So this message we could give in time, and we could see. So as said, like disaster is something which does not come with a warning. We are given very less response time. So therefore we need to keep ourselves prepared. We need to have a structured disaster management plan. So, how we started, just let us have some slides. And more of us will interact. So, you will give us some feedback also, because you must be facing at the grassroots level, which will rather help us at the district level to come up with better district management plans. Right. So why? What is the need of the disaster management plan? Why is it so? Why need to have a, we're using the that, we need to have a disaster management plan which is time bound, which is there's a short term plan and there is a long term policies as well. So, like for example, if there is a disaster which strikes any place, we need to act fast, and we need to give the immediate, like we call it like SOS, isn't it? Like we have a headache, we take one tablet. So immediately we need to have some short-term policies. For example, for this what we do, short-term policies, that we have adequate stock of our relief materials, right? If there is any kind of inundation or flash flood, we rush to that place, and what we do, we give them the relief materials. We open the gruel kitchens. We have our shelter points identified well in advance. So therefore, our ecosystem, our mountain is fragile. So it still needs many, many years to come to a stable position. That is another one point. And another point is that we hill, because as you all know, isn't it? The windward side, isn't it? One is the wet part of the mountain, the dry part of the mountain. So we fall into the wetter part. So therefore we get, a heavy rainfall. The precipitation is pretty high in Kalimpong, in Darjeeling. So this is another triggering factor. So landslide is one disaster which we should be very, very cautious about. Similarly, as we have major rivers, we have Chail River, we have Reli, we have Teesta, so they have their own woes. So recently we had the Teesta flash flood. So our basin, some of the pockets are located near the rivers. So we are very prone to the flash floods. And as you all know, because of the global warming, so many things are happening across at the international level and even at the global level also. So me for the first time rather, I never heard of GLOF. So only for the first time, I think we all came across this particular word GLOF, right? Am I right or wrong? So did we all hear about GLOF? I never heard. So this time only, because see, the things are changing, isn't it? So, and disaster which will come later, there are natural disaster, okay, in which we don't have any control. It can come at any moment, any day, and these disasters basically or can be classified as a natural or and yes, exactly. So we are becoming indifferent, So that's the saddest part. So this is the call of the hour rather, that these environmental issues should get addressed properly. And I think The educational platform, the schools and colleges are the best platform where these issues should be put into your mind, and that awareness, the ethics that get into your nerves. So ecological issues, your this environmental issues, these are all interconnected, isn't it? So there is goes a saying, like in some part of the area, if you even the butterflies, when they flutter their wings, it influences the rainfall in another part of the country. You may give any wacky thought also. So we'll have a railway project coming from your Sevok till Rampur. So this is one project. So when this project came up, this is a government of India's project. It needs to have this environmental impact assessment report from the third agency. The third agency it is basically a university like IIT Kharagpur, IIT. They take the help of these institutes to go for a third party assessment. Like for example, I'm making this because this is our tunnel, it's going to affect the hill. So what effect it will have on the ecosystem? So that impact assessment is done, and that should always be positive, and there are certain mandates given. For example, if there are 1,000 trees being cut, and they give imposition to the party that you have to go for a reforestation of these 1,000 trees. You may give any wacky thought also. So we'll have a railway project coming from your Sevok till Rampur. So this is one project. So when this project came up, this is a government of India's project. It needs to have this environmental impact assessment report from the third agency. The third agency it is basically a university like IIT Kharagpur, IIT. They take the help of these institutes to go for a third party assessment. Like for example, I'm making this because this is our tunnel, it's going to affect the hill. So what effect it will have on the ecosystem? So that impact assessment is done, and that should always be positive, and there are certain mandates given. For example, if there are 1,000 trees being cut, and they give imposition to the party that you have to go for a reforestation of these 1,000 trees. Am I clear? So you're cutting 100 trees, give 100 trees. These many families are getting relocated. You need to identify the place where you will relocate. You need to bring give them houses. So these are some of the rehab plans. Am I clear? This is an instance, what I just mentioned. So prevention is that. So we need to prevent first of all. So this is how we can prevent. There is an organization, there is a body which does this impact assessment. Clear? Before any major project is undertaken. Then we go for the mitigation. So mitigation, now as I said earlier, like initially we just used to react, isn't it? But now we respond. Clear? So this mitigation, and the risk management, it has got more responsive element. Am I clear? What is response and what is reaction? Thacha? Who can explain what's the difference between a response and a reaction? Did you hear? What did she say? Like, see, the reaction is, like without any thought. Without giving any, thoughtful insight is there. But response is calculated. Lot of brain has gone into it. Clear? And which has, positive impact on whatever action that you take. That is your response. So we need to respond, not react. So initially we used to react, like a fire has taken place or there has been an inundation. We used to jump into and just give them some tap on it and come back. So that is a reaction, not a response. So now we need to respond. So the first two are called the risk management, preparation, prevention and mitigation. Third is called the crisis management. So response is the management, the crisis management that we should take care of, right? So these are some of the international, resolution that has been taken. So lot of disaster has taken place in the international level. Can anyone name which comes into mind, which has taken heavy toll of life, and that is the waking call for all of us at the international level? Any major accident that has taken place? India, even which has taken place in India. There was a movie made also. Yes, Kerala. What was the name of the gas that got leaked? Resolution. So this is what in 1989 had taken place. This IDEA India, what we call it, International Decade for the National Disaster Reduction. Okay, but it was at a global platform. People, we shifted, rather, we shifted from crisis management to preparation, mitigation, and prevention. So we became more organized, we became more systematic. So as I said, we were just reacting to it. Now we shifted to the responsive level. Clear? So we started taking everybody in the ambit. Initially, it was just take at the government level only, okay, to certain pockets only certain stakeholders are involved. But now the mitigation plan involves the entire community. So we have our PRI bodies. So all those disaster management plans, we take from them. So even like initially, whenever we used to come up with a plan, it used to be rather like top to bottom approach. You understood what is top to bottom approach? Who can say? Or liking. Can we people say? We can't say, right? Like for example, in your house, whether you need a hand pump or you need a geyser, it is you people are best to decide, right? Similarly, initially at the government level, what we used to do, we used to have such a planning approach that we used to formulate at our level without discussing the community. So this, and most of the plans, they never used to work at the field. Clear, this was one of the reasons because it was not discussed with the stakeholders. But now things scenario has changed. We take all the planning, the policies, the issues, from the common people, right? From the the different cross section of society, from the lowest rung, so that our plans and policies they are very comprehensive and it's inclusive and it works out like like it goes to the actual target group. So therefore this planning whatever we do, it has to be inclusive. So this is another hint that I'm giving you. So now when you're going to make your disaster plan for the college, make it inclusive, which means you sit among yourselves, and discuss. You make small groups, clear, and then you come up with your own views, your own ideas, and then you try to collate them. Uh, each member government will be compelled to focus on. So it's kind of a compulsion now. Clear? So now it is going to be more of mandate, more of instructions, because we're all become sleeping beauties. So it's high time, isn't it? Because what will happen, then the whole earth, will come to a what? Will come to such a level which is beyond redemption. So there is always, like a threshold limit. So I think, or rather we all think, we have come to that threshold level. Even if we don't wake up now, we'll have, a very bad days ahead. And it trickles. Have you it's entire thing is so connected. For example, why the water is getting tourism infrastructures has come. What they're doing, these natural springs, they have the reservoir somewhere on the above, which normally falls in some forest area and those areas. So whenever we're cutting down the trees, we're destroying the recharge zone. This is a technical word, right? So every spring, they have the recharge zone somewhere on the upper slopes. So those bunds used to trap water naturally, and all the rainwater, they wouldn't, rush down to the river Tista to down below. They used to just, percolate inside and recharge those water reservoirs. The anthropogenic activities which is disturbing our ecosystem. Clear? Next. So again, what is disaster? Is a serious disruption functioning. Clear? We talked about a natural disaster, isn't it?
For responding to different types of disaster.
Yes, it depends upon the type of hazard that you face. So for any area which is prone or vulnerable to particular kind of a hazard. For example, if you go to the plain area, so they are prone to floods, right? So flood has its own protocol, and in the landslide area we have our own protocol. So protocol in the sense, so they're different. There's very minute details are there, but more or less the protocol is overlapping.
Can we address the psychological effects of disaster?
My God. It's a psychological way, because that's a very good question, Because whenever anyone was faced a hazard, that gets so much deep rooted in the mind. The best way is, what I have done, basically is that, constantly being with those people, the administration or those stakeholders, those who've come across this kind of hazard, has to be with that particular people. It's not that I've opened a flood shelter, you stay over there, I'm giving you food. It's not that. We need to be with them, okay, all the time. Like for example, what we used to do in the recent Tista flood, it was mandatory for a SDO or a BDO to visit those people. Okay, we used to have organized health checkups. So our all ASHA workers, health workers, they used to go to the shelter points and used to discuss with them.
Question say, what are the strategies adopted by disaster management of Kalimpong Hills as it falls under the higher damage, risk of landslides and earthquakes?
Earlier, we are ready with our plans, right? The first thing that we've done, see, our Kalimpong has a lot of prone to first of all the landslide. We can say the flash flood, what we recently witnessed. And another thing we missed is, we fall in that seismic area. Okay, so there's a seismic zoning is there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, depending on the intensity. We even, fall in that particular zone, that's earthquake prone area. So accordingly, we have had, first of all, we have done our areas we've identified. We are vulnerable to landslide, we are vulnerable to your earthquake, and you are vulnerable to your flash floods. Identification, that's diagnosis of disease. And be a part of this wonderful program, and I look forward to more such programs. You may note down my number also if you want. Okay, ma'am has my number. It can be shared if while preparing your plans. Okay, if any question arises, please feel free to be in touch with me. But I would say, the knowledge has got no limit. There's no limit to the sky. But I was just request, whatever books I just mentioned about, go through them. Clear? So there are a lot of activities going on, and be a part of the nature. So nature, silently, as I said earlier, it will teach you many things. So love your nature. Nature will take care of all of us. I thank sister. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening session, for so patiently answering all the questions that were thrown at you. We had a very wonderful time, and I hope our students have benefited greatly from this lecture. Thank you, Principal Dr. Sister Pushpa Michael, for always letting us go forward with different department activities, and even this one. It would not have been successful without your support. Thank you, dear students. Thank you, my dear colleagues, teaching and non-teaching staff both, for making this event a beneficial one.